Hello everyone, CrystalFissure here, and welcome to another part of Nintendo Gen 64's Let's Play of Spyro the Dragon Japanese with special guest star me, even though I did the intro. Why did I just enter the fucking level that I just... Okay, that's a great start, and we're keeping that in.
Are you becoming senile, CrystalFissure?
I think I am. I think I am. I think in my old Let's Playing age, I'm losing
it. Because look, let's talk about shelf life of Let's Players these days. I mean, most of them who are popular haven't been around the fraction of the time you've been around.
And give me some examples of that.
How long has PewDiePie been around for? Surely you've been around longer than him.
I think technically, how have I done that again? Wow, this is I'm just blaming the Japanese version. But I think PewDiePie technically has been around about the same time, but it's just like he didn't get popular till a bit later. You know what I mean?
Oh well. But I'm sure there are plenty of Minecraft.
Yeah, like those Jacksepticeye and like those. Like,
I don't watch Let's Plays.
Oh, I don't either. I just know about them through
Ando. That I'm appearing in today.
You haven't what?
I said I probably won't even watch this part.
Yeah. Well, that's expected. You're in the part.
Yeah. Look, I don't watch every video I've ever made. Sometimes I don't have any quality control. I'll record something and upload it without even watching.
Oh, really? Like, he won't even like look through it at all.
I might. No, actually, I've done that. I've done that before.
I'm hoping that there's some goofs and sort of like gaffes and that, you know, some sort of fuck ups.
You gotta go through quite a few videos if you want to find.
Where you've like, you know, called your fan base like Nazis or something like that.
I don't think I've done that. Fan base implying I've got a fan base.
Oh, you had a fan base. It's a small, sizable fan base.
I squandered it away. Hey, but aren't we talking? Oh, first of all, what level is this that we're doing today?
This is Dark Passage, and before we talk about the whole, like, sort of more of a retrospective comment, and we'll just listen to this dragon.
Say something.
Well, he sounds very... I like that guy. Alright, 65. Alright, before we talk about the sort of retrospective sort of points, I want to bring up something that was not brought up for the first time in my Let's Play. I was always sort of proud about like some of the sort of things that, whether me, you, other people, we sort of discovered in, especially the Spyro 2 and 3 Let's Plays when it came to sort of like analysis and stuff. And one thing that I discovered, or sort of like, not discovered, but more like figured out and stuff like that, was the whole point of this level. And before this, no one had actually brought it up. And think about Dark Passage, right? It's basically, we're in the Dreamweaver's home, and we've got these weird, like, I don't know, what are they called? Like druids? What are those like guys that sort of hold the candles? What are they? Like those like sort of weird guys.
Yeah, no, they have a name, but it escapes me. Not a pixie or something.
Yeah, like something like that, like these weird animals. Anyway, what they do is they hold a light, and sorry, I've got one more dragon, then we'll be able to continue. Jeez, I'm really hyping up this point. It is a good one though.
I can't wait to find out what it is.
Oh, very purple dragon. Oh, he said nothing. He said like, so my light. Anyway. Now, okay. The whole point of that, right, of these light, is that the creatures, when you turn the light on, right, the animals or the creatures, they shrink. They're back to their sort of normal size. When the light goes off, they become an embodiment of a monster. So me and Al sort of discussed what the whole point of that is it's like, you know, think about when you're a kid and you go to sleep and you think there are sort of monsters in your closet type thing. But when the light's on, oh, it was just the bookcase, or it was just it was just your pet dog. You know, the darkness is what creates this sort of like manifestation of fear, basically, and that's how it works. So when you're turning the light on, it's all good. That's how you kill them.
Oh, by the way, they're called lamp fools.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, so the normal ones are called fools, and these ones are called lamp fools. Look, that's an interesting point. You do bring up CrystalFissure.
Thank you.
My interpretation of Dark Passage was, now we are in the Dreamweaver's homeworld.
Yeah.
This level to me feels more like a nightmare.
Well, that's right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is that it's sort of, you know, like, you know, you're in the night and you're dreaming and stuff like that, and the things that you may think are, you know, just normal in your life are sort of come to life when you're sleeping, when it's nighttime, and you know, that's where the creature's from. And then when the light comes on, sort of the dream is being I guess sort of you being awoken. Oh, it wasn't scary. It was just sort of your imagination. It was just, you know, a nightmare, I guess. So
I feel like I came up with that interpretation years before your Let's Play, but
wouldn't it be? Yeah, but you didn't say,
way?
you didn't talk about it being like a, you know, turning the light on and it's sort of a reality.
Well, that's sort of very self.
Oh god, seriously, the first time someone brought that up in a Let's Play, we were all like patting ourselves on the back, like wow, like because no one had like said that before that, because I'd like watched, you know, all like clued in with the Spyro community, and yeah, like no one had really like said that whole thing about the dreams, and I remember when Al said it, we were like, this is just, after the part we were like, man, that was some good shit right there. You gotta hear the original commentary. It was very good.
Well, look, can I mention something to you as well?
Yeah.
Is that in this level, at the start, Spyro doesn't do his typical entrance to the level.
That's true.
He just appears in the level.
Yeah. I mean, he does in this one too, but that is the Japanese version. That happens with all.
No, but he does it in the
Yeah, I agree.
You have to agree with.
Well, yeah, like I agree with the objective fact, because yeah, no, like in this one, yeah, that happens. But yeah, I knew you were saying about the other one. But okay,
why do you think that is?
Why?
This one of the first levels they made?
Well, actually, I'm looking at the entrance right now. Like I'm looking like down there. This level is like so interconnected. It's like really cool like that actually. But yeah, looking at it, I mean, it seems like they intended it, because there's sort of these like rocks surrounding the entrance, right? But like the bit where you fly in, you could technically fly in. Like there's no like limit for that to happen, you know?
Yeah.
There's no limits. Yeah, that's
but look, we were hyping this up at the end of the last part. I think it's about time we bring it up. The whole Spyro series on the PlayStation 1. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the pros, the cons, and the lasting legacy they had on the video game.
Well, let's give it more of a Japanese focus for the first two, given the fact that it is the Japanese Let's Play. And we'll start off, I think the thing you can start off by saying that I have said a lot, is that, yeah, you know, as you brought up in the last part, the Japanese version was hugely detrimental to the success of the brand, because it never even got past the second game. They didn't fix the problems in the first game, they just kept it the same, you know? So... Well,
yeah, I mean, in the Japanese side of things, which is a huge market, by the way.
Oh, of course it is. I mean, like, you know, Crash Bandicoot was, you know, ginormous in Japan. And I mean, still is. Like, I mean, like they got all the games. You know, Spyro didn't. You know, we didn't even like Japan didn't even get Skylanders, like the first one, until I think it was like 2014, like 3 years after the release. Like the brand had became like so just muddled up that they didn't even like take Skylanders when it first came out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yet if that was Crash and Skylanders, I can guarantee you, it would have been out on release day, you know.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, so like, I mean, it didn't get past the first two games, but my personal, totally subjective opinions on these games is I think they each bring something unique to the table.
Yeah.
And you would play a specific one of these three games if you were in a mood for three different sort of
Spyro experiences. Yeah,
it's experiences. Yeah. So this game is the most stripped down, straightforward of the series, and I think nostalgically my favorite of the three, believe it or not, even though it's got the least, like, you know, things in it. I mean, it's got very few NPCs, very few things that you do apart from the main gameplay, which is, you know, collect things.
But was it the first one you played?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that plays a part too.
Well, yeah, but I didn't play Spyro too much longer after this,
and also you didn't even own Spyro 3 until like, when was it? Like
2011.
Jesus, but you played it obviously, right?
I played it quite a lot, but Spyro 3, on the other hand, is the most complete of the three. Thank you very much.
Complete in a technical sense, but I think it's complete in a not even technical note. Complete in like what you see is what you get sense, but there were plenty of things that they sort of like I think they didn't fulfill by the end of it in terms of the rushing
to be perfectly honest, I think Spyro 3 suffers from overcrowding.
Overcrowding. Okay. Yes.
It's too much sort of going on in that game, and too much underdeveloped extra things they put in.
Yeah,
like,
we got to remember that, you know, think of the development time of Spyro 1. They probably got about, I mean, Disruptor came out in, I think, 96 or something like that. So they probably did, yeah, they probably had about 2 years or so, or 2 or 3 years to work on this game, while the 2 sequels, they only had a year to do. So that's a pretty crazy turnaround to, like, you finish 2 and then you go straight onto 3. That's pretty
oh yeah, exactly.
Impressive.
It suffers from Crash Bandicoot problem, I suppose.
Well, yeah, I mean, Crash 3, but like, the difference is, though, you're going to say it suffers like Crash 3, but Crash 3 felt more lazy to me than Spyro.
No, exactly. I think that they're on the ends of the continuum. Spyro 3 felt like they put a lot of work into it, but
it still sort of had that rushed element.
It had that rushed element, but and the problem is the rushed element becomes very apparent when you look at the gaping flaws in some of their the things they put in, like specifically like Sergeant Bird and Sheila felt very undercooked. The whole Sparx thing felt very, like, I mean, we discuss the potential for them to actually have made that a 3D part of the game?
Are you saying like with Sparx?
With Sparx, yeah.
Yeah, but did it have to be in 3D for it to be good though?
Oh no, but I just don't think, like, I definitely didn't enjoy those parts as much. I mean,
right, okay,
they threw a lot of the wall with Spyro 3.
They did, and you know why? Because they were desperate to do something else. You know, which is hilariously ironic, as I always say, hilariously ironic given that they've made like 15 Ratchet games, so money clearly does talk. But
I mean, it felt like there was just too much like on it, and I think that the problem of the next Spyro game, you know, it speaks for itself.
Enter the Dragon.
Like they never fully recovered after Spyro 3.
No, that was it. Many people
love Spyro 3. People love it, but it's not a perfect game. It's got lots of flaws, and if you wanted to make a successful follow-up to it, Enter the Dragonfly was not the game to make.
See, the funny thing is though, is that like, just how much I still enjoy the game despite finding flaws when I got older, is that I say that I can list all these flaws, list what they did wrong and stuff like that, but to me, I would still give it a 9.5 out of 10. I would.
I wouldn't be so generous, but
see with me. Here it is. Okay, I was looking for a gem. There you go. Difference is, see, I played Spyro 3 from when I was about 6 years old, and then onwards. Right, so I always had something. I always was playing Spyro 3, like, and see, after all this time, like, to me, the charm of it hasn't wiped off, despite me finding out the sort of the more I guess unfortunate elements of why certain like parts of the game are the way they are, like, you know, like sort of rushing elements and like, you know, not doing enough with
the sorceress.
Oh, the sorceress, horrible shit. Like, when I was a kid though, I didn't really give a shit. You know, like, it didn't really bother me. But
what about Dino Mines as well?
Oh, Dino Mines. And what about the super bonus worlds?
Yes.
Plural. You know, not singular. You know, like, it was originally going to be, you know, like, I mean, this isn't 100% confirmed, but it's very, very likely that it was going to be an actual, like, home world of itself, you know, sort of. And that makes sense, given that it was, at the time, they pretty much knew it was going to be the last Spyro game. Wouldn't it have been awesome if there was just basically this sort of final world? Because they actually sort of did that concept in Ratchet and Clank with the Insomniac Museum, which was you know, like these sort of bonus level where you could sort of like look at the development cycle. And obviously in the PS1 it wouldn't have been like that, but it would have been more like, quote, rewardy than it was in Spyro 3 originally at the end, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's very interesting, like, talking about Spyro 3 in this regards. It's, you know, Crash Bandicoot, this obvious sister series of this game. Yeah. Both took a wrong turn at the same time.
Yeah, phenomenal.
With their fourth incarnations. You know, I'm not including you know, the Crash Team Racing and Crash Bash. I'm talking about specifically the platformer main canon series games.
Right. Yep.
Both took a turn for the worst at their fourth incarnation, and both had third games on the PlayStation 1 which were rather lackluster for a better word.
I'd say lackluster to hardcore fans though, not kids, because they were incredibly well reviewed at the time. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they were at the time, but I don't know, maybe they just don't hold up as well as they once did.
Yeah, well, I think most people think that Spyro 2 is the better game, and I would agree with that.
Definitely. But
and
Crash 2 was the best one. Those were the most. I mean, Spyro 3.
But actually, here's a question for you. I think this is actually sort of, it's quite interesting to think about. Do you think though that the failure of Spyro and Crash on the PlayStation 2 coincidentally caused more success and or attention to be put onto the games like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter, where people were sort of willing to sort of not give up, but sort of like put Spyro and Crash, who were the mascots at the time, to the side, and now we could sort of focus on a bit more of a mature, game series like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter.
Definitely, and you know what? That's something I hadn't really thought about until you just brought it up, but I think that's true. And the problem is the drop in quality, and then the audience moving away from them.
Yeah. You there? Hey, come back. If you, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So, say what you're saying again. Yeah, you dropped out.
I said, yeah, that's true. And the reason that Crash and Spyro aren't really around today is because of that. What happened about 10 years ago.
Right. Yeah. I think. Yeah. It's funny. I say that as if I'd been planning that thought, but I only just came up with that just then, thinking about it. You think about it. It seems like, Crash and Spyro failed, and then all of a sudden here are these new saviors, Ratchet and Clank, and people love them for different reasons, but also very similar reasons. And they have that similar sense of nostalgia to slightly younger fans and
yes,
than
and
us.
not to mention, here's another important thing, is that the two companies that formerly owned Crash and Spyro moved on.
Yeah.
To make these games.
That's right.
Yeah, see, they themselves thought that, and they predicted this many years before I think the audience finally came to grips with it, that the Crash and Spyro games had outlasted their use-by date, pretty much.
I think there's an element that's true, but I think also it was just poor development by other companies. So you can't just say that after 3 they knew it was over. I think that hearing about Insomniac's disappointment towards Enter the Dragonfly makes you think that they did at the time think that they could have transferred the IP to safer hands, and it still could have been a viable series. They just no longer had the rights to them, but instead they completely butchered it. I don't think they expected it to be hit its use by date so quickly. You got to remember, there's been games that have done more than fucking 3. Spyro and Crash basically died after 3 and 4 games. 4 for Crash with Crash Team Racing. You know what I mean? And Crash Bash was a mere detour. It wasn't really.
Crash Bash was harmless. I would say that's harmless.
That's right. It was nothing. But do you really think that a franchise that was as well selling as as Spyro, 1, 2, and 3, would just die at the 4th game? I don't think they expected it to just die off like that.
Wasn't the transition to the new millennium as well? People expected different things from their video games.
I mean, think about that was when, tied into wrestling. That was when the Attitude Era, was sort of going on. People wanted that more edgy shit, and Jak and Daxter. I guess actually that's probably one of the reasons why Jak and Daxter wasn't Jak 1 was pretty harmless. So I don't think it was entirely the edginess and people wanted more action-packed things. Jak and Daxter was essentially a slightly older Crash Bandicoot with a free roaming world. I don't think that people were entirely I want to play edgy shit. I think that was more the mid-2000s with the birth of popular GTA games that really ended that. I'd say the early 2000s was still a period of transitioning.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I think with the PlayStation 2 coming out, as well, you can't simply take what works on the PlayStation 1
and then transfer
and put it on the PS2. You need something else, and that's precisely what Crash and Spyro did, and that's why they weren't very well received.
Yeah, that's right. They, the next ones they just tried to repeat the success of the first 3. But again, I think that it's another half case where it's yes, you know, they tried to do the exact same thing and it didn't work. But 2, they couldn't. The other half is that they couldn't make it with competent enough developers. They rushed them. We've all discussed this a million times. But you can't deny that like what happens if you know Enter the Dragonfly was a very technically competent Spyro 3 clone, right? Like where it was pretty much the same thing, but they got all the development time. There were 20 levels. Would it have been as much as a failure? Because you've got to remember that Spyro Enter the Dragonfly wasn't really a commercial failure. Like it actually, like money-wise, it actually did okay. It sold millions of copies.
People bought it before they played it, though, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. Yes.
Yeah,
but the point is that imagine if it was really good. You know what I mean? Like if it was like so that Jack and Daxter level, like really, really good, like, you know, making, you know, success from that, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it's possible. That's a big what if, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah, definitely.
What if A Hero's Tale was the 4th Spyro game?
That is, yeah, actually, wow. That I'd say that even though that game is very controversial as well, and a lot of people don't like it, I would say he'd be in a better position because Spyro Enter the Dragonfly as a meme wouldn't exist. Like Spyro Enter the Dragonfly is sort of a meme of like what to not do when you get to the next console. Like how to like completely underdevelop a game and give a developer half the time they need. Like that is like the prime example of what not to do. So if that game didn't exist, maybe its reputation wouldn't have been ruined as quickly as it was.
Now, yeah, like looking at Spyro and Crash, like I know I always pair Crash with Spyro, but you have to because you look at the trend or what happened with their games on the consoles, right? On the PlayStation 2. First of all, the very first release was basically a clone of a game that was on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
Right? Wrath of Cortex equals, you know, Crash Warped, and Spyro Enter the Dragonfly equals Year of the Dragon. Then you look at their next games, which was a total step in the opposite direction from what they were doing before.
Yeah.
You know, the Twin Sanity and whatever, A Hero's Tale are 2 very different games from the previous games. And
in a way, yeah, I think you have to commend that, but it's like maybe they should have done that first. You know, maybe imagine if Twin Sanity came out, like even how it was like a sort of wrecked because they like, you know, like lost the game, like they lost half of the development time and all that. But like if they went straight to Twin Sanity, I reckon people would regard it in a similar way to again. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm all good. All right, good night. So yeah, I think people would have regarded it in a similar way to Jack and Daxter, where it's like, look at this sort of like free open world sort of thing as Crash Bandicoot, you know?
Yeah,
like
actually, you know what? If that was a release title for the PlayStation 2 to show its capabilities,
yeah,
I think it would be. And then okay, so after they tried, because think about it, Twin Sanity and A Hero's Tale, there's no other games in their franchises like those 2 games.
No.
Then they moved to another incarnation of the characters. Both versions with mixed reviews, mixed sales, and then the characters die.
Although Crash had the edge, I think, both in terms of quality and sales. Crash was sort of superior, probably because of that Japanese market, in fact.
Yeah, possibly, but I mean, there's no denying that it was a downhill slope.
Yeah, it was.
As soon as they went from the 90s to the 2000s, with the exception of Year of the Dragon, which came out in 2000.
Yeah.
But after that, downhill slope, and then now they're nowhere to be seen.
Yeah. Well, the last we've heard of Crash is, in a somewhat positive update, really, being in that Uncharted 4 sort of thing, which is actually pretty cool. I know that a lot of people were shadowing it because of the fact that like it's technically not the same as the original Crash, but I think it was more of like a joke sort of demo sort of thing, showing off. Like an emulated PS1, I don't think it was meant to be super serious, but yeah, like, if you think about it, though, the fan base, a lot of the fan base freaking out about that, it just proves how little Crash and Spyro fans have gotten since, pretty much the late 2000s. Pretty much nothing.
I was thinking about this, actually, after you showed me that, because I I'm not up to date on my Uncharted news.
Come
But
on.
I think the only thing that would be really satisfying for the Crash Bandicoot if they were going to release another game is just to make it feel and look like a PlayStation 1 Crash game. Because what they need to do, that's what they need to do. Sort of erase the bad taste in our mouth that the other ones left.
Right.
And just make it like a retro throwback kind of thing.
What, with PS1 graphics?
Yeah, why not?
The thing is, people just wouldn't accept it. Like, I mean, that would only sell to a very niche audience.
Okay, well maybe not PS1 graphics, maybe PS4 graphics, but make it
in the same style. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and maybe don't release it as a physical medium. Maybe make it like a downloadable game or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that kind of thing. Like,
something that doesn't take too long. There's no massive risk. Not a risk in.
No, it's a name brand that is like, it's more valuable than you think. Like Crash Bandicoot still has potential. It's not like, I think like Spyro's in more trouble than Crash is. Like Crash has that benefit. Like, he's not a Skylander, so he hasn't been completely turned into a gnome troll that Spyro is. And he hasn't had a game in almost like 6 years or something like that. So
it's been 8 years actually.
Yeah, I was talking. I guess if you include the iPhone kart races.
Oh yeah, it's 6 years.
But you probably shouldn't because they're shit. But
So I mean that's really the state of things, and it's look, they're lucky that they still are looked on with such reverence, because most IP, we've talked ad nauseum about this, like examples like Gex.
Gex, exactly. Gex, yeah.
IPs that were around the same time as Crash was. No one talks about them. No one pines for another game in that series.
Yeah, Gex, not like completely dead. Like there was. Remember that whole talk with Square Enix, how they were like giving the IP away to people to make their own pitch of the game. And if it gets enough, so Gex, but I think more so Croc is like something that's just completely, there's no hope for that. Like Croc is dead and gone. Even Banjo-Kazooie is like more dead and gone. Like these days,
Banjo-Kazooie, another one.
It sort of has like a spiritual successor with Ukulele, that new one, that new game that's coming out next year, I think it is. So, games like that, and Conker's Bad Fur Day, that's sort of not talked about. Like Spyro and Crash are among the ones that are discussed the most to this day, I'd say.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, and here's the hot topic. Will we be seeing another game by the... I mean, we'll see another Spyro game, that's obvious.
What do you mean?
Skylanders.
Ugh.
So, but will we be seeing another Crash Bandicoot game anytime soon?
Well...
Considering this is the... I mean, I think this is a good time to talk about it, because this is the year of Crash's... the year of Crash's 20th anniversary.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it depends on what time this video goes out, but one interesting thing, and we will talk about Jarks in a minute, because we're about to get to the difference, but one of the things about Crash which is interesting is that this time, when it comes to, using Crash Bandicoot, right, and in a very, very blatant recreation, it's not like using existing material. They have literally, used Crash Bandicoot's rights, right, to create this Uncharted demo. People have gone through the game and gone through the credits, right, and there is no mention of Activision. Now, if you do not mention using a copyright like that, even if it's so minor, even if it's such a minor reference, legal teams will jump on that like an absolute crazy person. So people are now assuming that, and people say, oh yeah, you're just thinking into this too much. But no, if you do not, literally, Uncharted Naughty Dog would be facing millions of dollars worth of lawsuits if they didn't put his name in it, if they didn't put Activision's name in the credits. Now, Activision's name aren't in the credits. So that's very interesting. That actually could mean that Sony have the rights back of Crash Bandicoot.
That would be very, very interesting. In which case, if they own the rights to the Crash Bandicoot, and if it's the 20th anniversary, surely they'd do something. Unless this was what they were doing. But I've said this for a while. But if we do not get an announcement at this year's E3, then there is no hope. That's it.
That's it.
It's do or die, I think.
That's right. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Now, here we go. We've finally made it to the point. This is the pinnacle of the Let's Play. Ironically talking about Crash, but we've made it. We've made it to one of the big differences in this game. And Angus, do you know what it is? We're in Jark right now.
Is it something to do with the enemies in Jark?
Now, Jark, we're on one of... Currently, Angus can't see the screen, unfortunately. We're on one of the pillars, right? Now, in the American version, the PAL version, or the NTSC version, there are actually 4 enemies up here. There are actually 4 different, you know, sort of, they go down in height. 4 different pillars. In this one, there are only 2.
Yes, and why... Is it because this game would be too hard if there was 4?
It's funny, they didn't think about that when they're making the not slowing down everyone, the bastards. It's funny, like, oh gee, that's going to be too hard, but you know, not being able to properly use your fire, you know, ability in Haunted Towers, so that's fine. It's like it's so dumb what they thought would make things like easier and harder, but yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's pretty much the biggest difference to talk about.
Yeah, it's pretty much one of the pretty much. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, probably the most major cosmetic difference. Oh wait, no, I think there was something else, but I've completely forgotten about it. I haven't done the best job at talking about the differences in the Japanese version, like certain, you know, like moving of gems and stuff like that. Probably because it's been like a while since I've even played the English version, which you know, because of being busy and all that sort of stuff, and just generally not having the time, and also, you know, playing it so many times. That the Japanese, I don't think I ever beat the Japanese version, and as I rescue this dragon, I will say that I will never play the Japanese version again. That's a promise from me, Angus. It's a promise.
It's very funny the sort of way this has gone, because I remember back in the old days this was like a huge thing, the Japanese version.
Oh, I remember everyone was freaking like Bandy, like just do Japanese Let's Plays upon Japanese Let's Plays, and like and Andrew, Ratchet 5, and just like everyone was obsessed with the Japanese version. And I'm not discounting the differences, like I am interested in all that sort of stuff, but in terms of playing it, it's just atrocious.
I know. Hey, remember how rare the Japanese version of Spyro 2 was at one time?
Oh my god, yeah.
How about how Bandy had a disc that someone gave him and he wouldn't give it to anyone else?
Yep.
And then it was finally leaked as an ISO online.
Who leaked it? I don't think it was to do with us, to be honest.
No, it wasn't to do with us.
Yeah.
Who gave it to me in the first place?
I can't remember. Wasn't it like Edo? Not Edo Phoenix, no. No, Edo Phoenix was a speedrun.
No, I feel like it was Jamie.
It was Anada or something. I think it was.
Jamie.
Jamie, yeah. Wow, Jamie Whittaker, what a throwback.
What a throw! Yes, that's crazy.
It is. No.
It really is.
Now, I've collected 493 gems, which is the amount of the Pokédex after Generation 4, and I actually completed my Pokédex. So you guys.
Actually, I stopped at Generation 4.
Yeah, me too. I have black and white. I mean, black.
I refuse to acknowledge the others because otherwise I'll never be able to finish the.
Subscribe to Unlisted Leaf's YouTube channel. You can find out more about. Oh fuck! There you go. You can find out more about the new Pokemon Sun and Moon. Because they're really running out of ideas now, aren't they? Sun and Moon.
Look. Like I said, I refuse to acknowledge the other games. Because if I acknowledge them, then that means
so when I say Sun and Moon, you just hear like censored, basically.
Sun and what? Sorry.
God, I gotta figure a way to sneak in this past him. Now, seriously, where the hell is the last fucking 6 gems? Oh, here you go. Oh, right there.
Oh,
7 gems. There we go, and we are done. All right, look at that. Jacques, beautiful level. Didn't say much about it, but
what about the boss? The boss, Jackals.
Jackals. We're going into Jackals, guys. It's the legend himself, Spyro Jam 86, who would call
wherever
him.
you are, Spyro Jam.
Spyro Jam watches some of my videos, so you may be watching this Spyro Jam.
Spyro Jam.
You're a legend. Ooh.
I should mention this in my Crass Wrestling Federations. You were going to be the United States champion.
Was I really?
No, not you, him. Spyro.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
He was going to debut and then he was going to turn heel.
You bloody D-push me big time.
I know. You know, Spyro Jam. He was my storyline plan. He was going to win. How original is this, right? He was going to win the Intercontinental Championship, turn heel, and rename it the United States Championship.
Oh, brilliant.
But I planned that back in 2014.
Yeah, to anyone that wants a semblance of context, this is to do with a fake wrestling company that we created through SmackDown versus Raw, like, what was it,
2011, I think?
Yeah, there you go. Wait, is that... Oh, there we go. I didn't have the last gems. They're right here. Okay, got them. Excellent. All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. We're done with this part. We're done with this world, except for Icy Flight, which we will do alongside Wild Flight, so in the next part. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next part. Goodbye. And thank you, Angus.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Hopefully.
Thank you, Angus.
I'll return in the future.
It's glad to have... It's glad. I'm not even like... I can't even own my own name to it. I'm glad to have Angus back, and yeah, I'm sure we'll see some...
And in the next part, you'll return to your regularly scheduled CrystalFissure Let's Play.
Will we? Okay. Sounds good. All right. See you guys.
Goodbye.